Living the life.
Right now, look, our first guest for the evening, and that's why I'm holding my mobile phone, because we're going to go through something very apt at the moment, is Dr. Farzana Hussain, who's here to tell us all about the NHS COVID app. Welcome, Dr. Farzana. Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome, salam.
And by magic, there you are. Jazakallah khair for joining us tonight. Now, look, I've got my phone with me, so just in case people think I'm a bit unprofessional tonight, because I have actually downloaded the app to test it as well. It's been rolled out, you know, and we've really been encouraged to download it. Why is that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So we know that many of us, when we first have the COVID virus infection, don't actually show those symptoms of coughing or fever. So it's a really good idea to be notified if you have been in contact with anybody who's got COVID. And the app gives us the ability to do that. It will let you know if you've been in contact with somebody who's tested positive, so that you can isolate and keep your loved ones and your community safe.
And what about the various news stories telling us that the app isn't working, is not picking signals up, and it's incorrect? What's happening with that particular part of the discussion that's going on at the moment?
Yeah, well, I myself live and work in Newham, and we were very fortunate that we were one of the areas in the country where we had this before. We piloted it, so I've had my app for a while, and so a lot of those issues have been ironed out and are certainly being ironed out on a daily basis. Like with every new technology, it takes a little time, but certainly it's a very low percentage. For most of us, certainly including me, it's been working really well, and certainly protecting my two teenagers as well.
When you say that you were one of the first people to try it out, when did it come out originally?
Oh, I think we've had it in Newham for a good, I think maybe 6 weeks now, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I just downloaded it the other day, so I'm gonna just look into my phone and get that on. Tell us a bit about what are the new features.
Yeah, so there's some great features on it. So, of course, first of all, you only need to put just the first bit of your postcode in. So nobody will know where you live. That's about 800 households. And it will tell you the risk area where you are. So I'm in Stratford in East London, and it told me when the risk level went up from low to medium. So that's really good just for me to know.
We must be quite close, because I'm at medium as well in Ilford.
Yes, so we're quite close to each other, aren't we?
And it is scanning constantly, from what I can tell. I mean, I actually checked into a couple of venues over the weekend. That was interesting, because you can walk into the shop and just, rather than fill in the form, and you can just scan it at the venue, which is fantastic. Checking the symptoms, we're going to come on to that in a minute. But look, let's just do a short video that we've got featuring yourself and others about the actual app itself.
I downloaded the NHS COVID-19 app to protect the local community.
I downloaded the app so I know if I live in a high-risk area.
I downloaded the app to protect my colleagues.
I downloaded the app to protect my local community.
So I know if I live in a high-risk area.
I've downloaded the app so I know the exact risk for my friends and family.
I've downloaded the app because I want to do my bit against the spread of the virus.
I downloaded the app so I know what to do if I have any symptoms.
I downloaded the app so I can play my part in helping us get back to the things we love.
I've downloaded this app because the more people who use it, the better.
I downloaded the app because it's better than me at remembering everywhere I've been.
To get the NHS COVID-19 app, download now at Google Play or the App Store.
Fantastic. Now, Dr. Farzana, one thing I noticed was everybody there was from an ethnic background. What's going on?
Yes. So this advert was particularly designed to help our BAME communities. I have done another advert that's not for the BAME communities, but we do know that sadly COVID has affected BAME communities much more, particularly certain groups such as Bangladeshi people are much more at risk, and we also know that we have a few other risks. So many of us live with our grandparents as well as mums and dads as well as children, so that infection risk is a little bit higher. So it's really important that we all download it, and it is available in 11 different languages if English isn't our first language, Punjabi, Bengali, to name but a few. So I think with sadly the COVID deaths that have occurred in particularly some of our communities, I think it's all the more important that we keep ourselves and each other safe.
And have you got your phone with you? Have you got your app there? Do you want to bring it up to the screen? And if anybody's watching that's actually got the app as well, it'd be great. You want to maybe get a hold of it right now, and we can go through some of the features. Yeah, that's not too bad. We can see that. So it's medium at the moment, and it's scanning all the time. And we spoke about the venue check-in. So if you go into a venue, you can scan, and it straight away registers where you are.
And from last Thursday, every public venue has to have that that code. So whether it's a GP surgery like mine you come to, or whether it's a sandwich shop, it's there available for you to scan in, because we know if you spend more than 15 minutes with somebody who tests positive, it can be a risk. So this app will tell you.
Brilliant. And look, there's also a feature, I mean, I'm looking at my phone here, select the symptoms that you're experiencing at the moment. And that can give you an idea what's going on as well.
Yes, absolutely, because it can be confusing to try and remember all the symptoms. And of course, a lot of us can get a sniffle and a cold at this time of year. So it will take you through the symptoms that you've got and then let you know if these are suggestive of COVID. And we'll also tell you where you can go to get your local test as well, to know you've got in Ilford, we've got in Newham. So it's got a number of features, and obviously we'll let you know if there's somebody who's tested positive without giving any details of their identity.
Right, so that's an interesting point. Is our personal data, is it shared?
Yeah, so that's a very good point. No, not at all. So the app doesn't capture your data. Your data stays on your phone, and you will, of course, never know who it was that was positive. So it is completely confidential, because I know that's been a concern for many of us, understandably.
But obviously, if you were the same person for more than 15 minutes and it was just that person you met that day, then it's pretty obvious. Right.
Yes, it may be. Yes.
And look, what about, I mean, there's got a tab here for contact tracing on or off.
Yes, so there may be a few occasions. So, for example, if I, for example, as a GP, I'm examining one of my patients, I could choose to turn that off, because likelihood is I won't be with them for 15 minutes. But I would say, I'm happy to keep mine on most of the time, because it will give you that extra protection, definitely. But you have a choice.
Now, look, on a lighter note, I mean, I live in Glasgow. That's where home is. I mean, London is, workplace. But each of the countries has got its own app, it's got its own standards, it's got, I mean, there's a joke going around that the virus is behaving differently in different countries, is behaving differently after 10 o'clock, is behaving differently depending on where you are. What's the crux of the matter, that there are so many different variations, timing, the pub should close at this time and restaurants at this time? What's going on?
Well, I'm obviously part of NHS England, so I'm not too clear on what the other devolved nations are choosing. So I'm not really able to comment on their apps. But I think, in England, certainly NHS England have made this with the 7 features to really protect as many of us as possible. I'm not sure how much variation, to be honest with you. I haven't seen the Scottish or the Welsh app. Can't imagine it would be that different. But
maybe
yes,
language, if anything.
Sorry?
Language, if anything at all.
Language, yes, and it's great for me to see, I work in Newham where there's over 200 languages spoken, so at least to have a start where it's in 11 languages, that's really, really useful for us.
Now, look, where can people get information about the app? How do they download it?
Yes, so you can download the app from the Apple Store or the Google Store, and there's a link. If you actually just put COVID-19 app, it hopefully Google will take you there. There is actually an official link that I could share with you as well, if you want to give that to your viewers afterwards.
Okay, and why is it important that people download this? Because our communities, yes, we are really in the critical, vulnerable aspect, and it have been from the beginning outset, unfortunately. But we're not very good at adhering to rules and regulations generally, are we? We're a bit of a rebel. Why is it important that we need to conform?
Yeah, well, I think rebel, and I also think, we're very, technology is hard for a lot of people, isn't it? But I think this is about saving lives. So, I'm sad to say that I knew the 5th GP in the country who died. He was from, an Asian background. That was in Newham. We've experienced the highest COVID death rate in Newham. And it's really important, because we won't always have those symptoms when we're infective. We'll get that cough and we'll get that fever later. So we really want to to protect each other, especially, you know, those of us who have diabetes, those of us who have heart disease, those of us who are older. So we really want to protect our older people. And now that schools have gone back, we know that the children are, you know, picking, they're quite well, but we don't want them to spread it to our nannies and our daddies at all.
And look, with winter coming in, I mean, there's the season of flu and colds. There's a greater likelihood that, you know, something like COVID could catch on?
Absolutely, you're quite right. I mean, COVID is ultimately a virus, just like influenza. The flu is a virus, and we don't as yet know how our bodies will react with COVID and with flu. So we're encouraging everybody, of course, this year who's entitled to have a flu jab anyway for the influenza virus. You can get that free from your GP practices if you've got any of the long-term conditions. If you're not sure what they are, just ask your GPs. If you're over 65, you can get them as well. But also to be really protected against COVID, because we don't at the moment have a vaccine, do we? So we really want to protect each other.
Brilliant. And just to finish off with some tips or pointers that you want to give out to everybody watching tonight.
So if you're a bit unclear about how to download the app, because I'm not very technologically friendly, you might know someone who is. So my 16-year-old downloaded it for me. I have actually, if anybody does like Twitter, my Twitter handle is at fhussain73, FHUSSAIN 73. And my 16-year-old is giving you a little step-by-step guide of how to download it. And if you're just unsure, ask anybody, even at your GP practice. Our receptionist can help you with it. Yeah. Well, look, Jazakallah khair for being with us, and keep the app turned on. Be happy. Thank you so much. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Living the life.